So here we are, T-minus 15 minutes before run number one. Was intending to start at 4 o'clock, but due to Northern Rail and their excellent on-time train service, I didn't get back till just after 5. So here we are. Clock's behind me, as you can see there. It's now it's 5:45. Through then, clock's backwards obviously. And so yeah, I thought I would just update in terms of like today's eating. To be fair, it's been fairly high protein. Not needing to load up on loads of carbohydrate. Like there's plenty of time, plenty of opportunity to feed. So not too worried about that. I just thought give an opportunity to talk about supplements that I would be using and a few different strategies. I'm going to talk about sleep later on. So my supplement armory, I'm going to stick to what I always use, omega-3s, which are great, high quality omega-3s. I think particularly important when you're putting your body under this much stress, anti-inflammatory benefits, some elements of joint protection, cellular function and signaling type stuff. I don't eat much oily fish. In fact, I don't eat any oily fish, hence why it's on the programme. And then I've just got a multivitamin and a multimineral. Just habits really. My diet is quite rich in fruits and vegetables, but I just cover those bases. And now in the white tub, what's in the white tub? In the white tub is, this is exciting, what looks like this orange squash here, but it's not orange squash. What it actually is a super secret carbohydrate formula that I've been working on. I can't take the lid off with one hand, I'll show you later. It's basically a carb powder, but it tastes delightful. It tastes a bit like Kiora. Do you remember the tropical fruit juice Kiora? The reason that I formulated this a while ago, and it's something that in the future of Nuvictis we'll be looking at increasing our supplement range. So whilst I had the opportunity to give it a good test, I have decided to use it to see how it sits with my stomach, because I have a sensitive little stomach, and I do try and train my digestive system. But I do have a sensitive little stomach, so I'm going to trial this. I've trialled it for a little while now, some of my longer runs. It only arrived fairly recently, so didn't have a chance to use it for my last ultramarathon. So this will be a nice little introduction. The other supplement that I may or may not use is Gold Standard Whey. I've got a little bit of that left, and to be honest, I'm going to be taking a lot of my protein through Whole Foods. So speaking of foods, didn't have a chance to go to the shop today, part of the chaos of being on the road. So I've got a couple of kind of lower calorie, high protein, microwave meal type things, which are great, and I just serve them with some rice. At the end of the day, energy expenditure is going to be quite high, but I'm not using this as an excuse to just kind of overeat. So I'm going to track my intake, track my expenditure, obviously using the Garmin. I know it's not 100% accurate, but it is what it is. And then in the morning, between 7 and 8 a.m. tomorrow, I have a delivery of basically healthy ready meals, the gym kitchen stuff. Don't know if you've tried them, I think they're great. The more thought I can take out of cooking over the next few days and everything else is fine, but I still is going to be important. But I feel like it's important to get some high quality nutrition in there. And like I said, a lot of my protein will come from solid foods. I've got a couple of shakes in there, but a lot of like protein yogurts and things like that, just because I just prefer to get my protein from Whole Foods. Protein shakes, there's just, I find them a bit blah and a bit sickly to drink. So I've got a variety of different protein sources, different protein yogurts, and the meals themselves are high protein. So I'm going to talk about my nutrition strategy in a little bit more detail, but I've now waited on for 3.5 minutes. So I am now going to whack my shoes on, get my Garmin up and running and ready to rock, and then go out for the first little spin and see where the evening takes me. So the time is now 9:30 p.m. I've just been chilling on the sofa since the last run, or the first run. Kind of started to get a little bit tired. It's getting towards my sort of normal bedtime now. So, yeah, I could do with going to bed soon, which is kind of the plan. So I'm going to get out and get my next run in about half an hour. And then I think what I'm going to do is prep some food now, so that as soon as I'm back through the door, I can heat that quickly, and then get a quick shower and then get to bed. So I'm going to try and keep my sleep routine as best I can for the first night. I know roughly from previous monitoring of my own sleep that I kind of like go in and out of sleep cycles between like an hour and 30, an hour and 45. So hopefully if I set my alarm for an hour and a half after getting back and getting showered, I should hopefully wake up not feeling too groggy. So that's the plan for tonight really, is to sleep from around just after 11 till kind of like 1:30. Then I'm obviously out again at 2. straight back in, a bit of carbs, a bit of protein, and then up and out at 6. And then when up and out at 6, get back from that. Then I've got food delivery arriving. And then after the food delivery has arrived, then I'm going to try and stay awake from that point tomorrow. So should hopefully get a good 6 hours tonight. And then tomorrow I'll probably just nap. And I'm going to try and keep that routine. We'll see what happens. The next run I'm going to take really easily, like nice, slow, steady pace, just because I don't want to get my heart rate up too high and everything, you know, all my systems switched on, as it were. Exercise can obviously cause us to kind of wake up, you know, increase blood flow to the brain, you know, increases in adrenaline, things like that. Cortisol is going to be there to kind of liberate that glycogen and, you know, provide energy. So the more I can stay in kind of lower intensity zones, not put stress on the body, hopefully it won't cause me, 1, too much fatigue, and 2, to become too alert. So we'll see how that goes. My last pace was around about 6:30 per kilometre. My GPS didn't connect straight away, which was a bit annoying. So I actually ended up running over the distance. So I need to rectify that to make sure I'm not overrunning. It was only a couple of 100 metres, but it's no biggie. But yeah, just sort of a bit panicking because it kept kind of like pausing and then playing. It was just, my Garmin was being very odd for the first time ever. So yeah, I'm going to take this one very, very easy. You know, probably 6:30 to 6:45 pace. But again, if I'm way ahead of that, I'm just going to basically slow down to a snail's pace for the last bit. So yeah, feeling obviously good. I ran 6k. You would expect me not to be destroyed at this point. So I will disappear off, prep my food now, so that when I get back, it's good to go and eat, get a quick shower, and then I'll be heading straight to bed. So I'll update before the 2 a.m. run. Right, hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. Nice start to the bank holiday. Not this level of insanity. Right, peace. I'll do some live footage of me actually running. So the time is now just gone 20 past 2 in the morning. Currently just hit 3.2k, so halfway through this next little block. It's a bit Blair Witch out here. It's actually better lit than it looks. It's a nice little quiet, well lit but quite a bit of road, so I'm not in any residential areas, so I'm not going to disturb anyone. Had a couple of shocks on this one. Something like the dark, where I'm by the woods, you can't see that, but like there's lots of like animal noises and rustles, but there's the occasional car that drives past, which makes you have some sort of, eases the fear a little bit, some feel of connection with humanity. Scared the absolute crap out of myself running before, being face to face with the badger coming around the corner. Don't know who was more surprised to see who, really. The current pace is very easy this run. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Slept alright. Everything went to plan with sleep. Woke up before my alarm. Woke up out of light sleep. So yeah, not feeling too bad. Legs feel a little fatigued from the last run because I went a little too hard, but this one's an easy one now, as will the next one be. So goals now are get back nice and easy, cool down, get some food in, and get back to bed for a couple of hours. But all in all, apart from having the crap scared out of me by a badger, all is good. I will see you all at around 6 a.m. Hope you guys are having an awesome start to your bank holiday. Hope most of you are tucked up in bed, resting, not doing anything too stressful like this. Peace. So here we are now at just gone midday on day 2. I have just finished run number 5, just hit the 20-mile mark. So my next run at 2 p.m. will be halfway through the Goggins challenge. At 6 a.m. this morning was not in a great place. Sleep went to plan last night, but I also knew I was going to wake up feeling really, really, really groggy for that last run. So it was never, the 6 a.m. run was never going to be in doubt. 2 a.m. was fine, that's the last video I did. 6 a.m. run was just an effort. Like everything was tired, everything had started to tighten up. And yeah, I think just the combination of, even though it was kind of daylight-ish, it wasn't, so hello to Steve the Cookie Bear. It was daylight-ish. I just woke up feeling a little bit kind of a bit battered and a bit tired and a bit sort of zoned out. Didn't feel quite myself. I felt very detached from the experience. Like I was running, but I couldn't work out if I didn't feel good, but I didn't feel bad. It just felt very weird and very surreal. So I was a bit kind of concerned that might be the start of some kind of, deterioration towards fatigue. Like I say, I've not done anything like this before. I've run these distances comfortably, but just with the breaking it up and the sleep. But I do think that my sleep strategy did kind of pay off. So after the 6 a.m. run, food delivery arrived. Whoop, whoop. So now I've got a fridge full of protein yogurts and quick and easy ready meals and fuel drinks. And obviously I've still got my juice in the door, some protein yogurts and things. And obviously the ultimate superfood, magic blueberries. So yeah, that arrived this morning, and once I'd eaten, got some food in me, I fell back asleep then must have been at 9:15. I got about another hour and a bit till my cousin turned up. So he rocked up just before 10 o'clock to go for the last run, and that went really well. I ran at his pace. He's quite new to running, so it's very much kind of very, very easy effort, and I think it's kind of what my body needed. Come off the back of that, sun's shining, really nice day outside. I feel completely energized. I'm ready to go. I've just smashed in a load of the laundry from yesterday, so I'm just like to take my, I couldn't see that there, take the laundry out from what I had yesterday, and yeah, just chill out for another couple of hours before I do run number 6 now, which takes me to 24, almost at marathon distance. And what will be halfway. The only thing that I really need to do is I need to do some work, but I don't want to do it here. I feel like I've just been like out or caged here. So I'm going to chill for a little bit, put my laundry out, do a bit of tidying around the house, and then I am going to figure out how I'm going to tie in my next run with getting myself clean, eating, and then also being able to get a couple of hours work done in a coffee shop, which isn't too far away, but I don't want to sound silly, like, because I feel great and I'm pacing around making this video, but I don't want to kind of overextend myself. I get to that point where the last couple of efforts I wish I hadn't walked, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So that's what I'm going to scheme now. My weight is it's coming down slightly. I've been registering my weight after every run just to check for dehydration, making sure I'm nice and full. But to be fair, it stayed in between sort of between 87 and 88. It's pinballed around. It touched the 86s once, but that was after, I think, my run this morning after a bigger sleep, and I hadn't really eaten much last night before I passed back out after the 2 a.m. run. So yeah, that's where I'm at, feeling good, ready to rumble. I'm kind of keen to just get going now. I feel like I've got some momentum, I want to take those miles off, but I know that's kind of not the point, right? The point is that you lose momentum, and it's the mental fortitude to kind of keep going past that. But yeah, sleep went well, everything went to plan. Food's here, that arrived on time. Sleep, I've said that already. Food's going down, digestive system's working fine. So yeah, no complaints. Supplements are in, sipping on carb drinks all the time. Digestive system still feels fine. Again, I've probably said that about 4 times. I'm starting to get tired though, so you'll have to go with me. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. And yeah,
so here we are. Time
for
another
wonderful bank holiday weekend.
Time now, as you can possibly see behind me, is 9:45. So we're now going into effectively day 2. So I've now completed 7 runs, so that's 28 miles done, and now going into the second night shift. I've been dreading this a little bit. Last night wasn't that much fun. I think I explained that before, or said that before in the other video. I've got lovely tufty hair at the moment because I had a shower and went to bed, so I've got this kind of weird little owl ears sticking up. It's the least of my problems right now. So yeah, after my last run, I felt pretty good. The daytime's so much easier, so I'm hoping that if I can get through tonight in one piece, that tomorrow day is pretty comfortable again. Managed to get out and sit in a coffee shop and do some work, and everything was hunky-dory. I think that's the first time I've ever said the expression hunky-dory. So there you go. So that's something. I've noticed that I'm starting to get a little bit of brain fog. So for example, my watch, I had upstairs, brought it downstairs, and then convinced myself I'd left it upstairs, went back upstairs, looked around for ages, getting frustrated because I didn't know what I did with my GPS watch, and it was just sat on the arm of the chair there. In terms of everything else, I sort of feel fine. I am starting to feel like a weird detachment. Sorry, it's my alarm going off to remind me to get up if I'm not up already. There's a sort of weird detachment for different types of fatigue. I'm probably going to talk about this a little bit in my next video if I remember. I keep coming up with these ideas for content and then my brain just gets foggy, like I've just explained there. So I've got this sort of weird detachment. So obviously, for anyone who's followed any of my content, or those who haven't, I've run several 50 mile plus different distances before, several 30 mile distances, many 30 mile plus distances, 13 mile plus distances. And this feels very different. It's a different type of fatigue. Like, I think because my average pace over those distances is a little bit faster, I'm definitely feeling a lot more kind of like muscle breakdown. So almost feels like I've had like quite a hard gym session, and I can sort of feel the breakdown in the muscle. But centrally I kind of feel okay. So that if you think about like peripheral fatigue, muscle breakdown, what's going on in the muscle, that feels really high. But my sort of central fatigue, like my brain, apart from it being a little bit foggy, I feel like the neural drive's still there. So when I'm out, even though my legs feel heavy, my pace is still okay. Whereas when it's like an ultra marathon where you're doing kind of like a consistent effort over a long duration rather than breaking it up into these little bite sides, it sort of feels like you're not getting the same amount of kind of like peripheral kind of muscle tissue breakdown, joint kind of ache type stuff. It's not so much that. You don't get as much of that, but you feel like the power from the brain, so from the brain downwards is up, whereas this time it feels it's from the muscles upwards is where the sort of fatigue is. So I've managed to get, I hope that made sense. It did in my head, it might not, and it's not point out to the ether. So after my last run, I chilled out for a bit, got some food in me, and I had a sleep for an hour and a half, and it was slightly surreal because obviously it's quite light of an evening now. So I went to bed when it was light and it's now dark. It now feels like it should be like 5-6 o'clock in the morning, but it's not, it's only 10 p.m. So I think, although I'll be grateful for the sleep later on, and I've woke up feeling quite alert mentally, if not physically a little bit beaten up. Yeah, it feels like it's early in the morning, but I'm sure once I've got outside and got some miles in my legs and I've exposed myself in sort of like daylight exposure, as soon as I've got a few hours of darkness exposure, then that will settle down. I'm just hoping that because I feel quite alert now, that once I've had this run, that my body starts to shut down again in terms of sleep, so that I can get another couple of hour and a half to 2 hour stints, so totaling my sleep for the night by the time I wake up in the morning for the, what have I got, 2 a.m, 6 a.m. After the 6 a.m. run, when I go back to bed, then when I wake up at about 8 a.m, just get back into my normal routine, if that's what you could call it. I'm hoping at that point that I've had like maybe 6+ hours sleep, and that should get me through comfortably then with maybe a nap tomorrow. Apart from that, I've been keeping to a good schedule in terms of eating, keeping to a good schedule in terms of just personal hygiene. I found that's helped a lot as well. Keeping on top of like moisturizing, making sure that I'm keeping on top of my skincare. So I've got like some skincare repair cream. So I'm putting that on areas that might be prone to chafing. So in and around my groin. Feet are fine. I've got one issue with a toe, but that's from climbing where I've punted it into a wall, so like the end of the toenail's a bit sort of sharp and sore, but that's been the same from the minute one, so it's no worse. Just slap myself aggressively there for no reason. I've talked for way longer than I intended to, and I've got to be out in 10 minutes. So as I've just woken up and weighed myself and I'm a little bit down on weight, I'm going to just have a few slurps of my carbohydrate drink, and then I'm going to get out there. One thing I have noticed though, just caught myself in the mirror just before I go, is that I have started to, like, my face is starting to look like quite drawn, and like any fullness I had in my physique, like just don't look like I lift anymore. I just look like all my muscle size is like diminished. So yeah, I might go and throw some weights around at some point over the next couple of days just in my upper body, just to kind of keep things moving in that regard. Not anything to failure, nothing silly, and I say that now, but if I get through to this time tomorrow afternoon, so if I get through to tonight and into tomorrow afternoon and I feel as good as I did yesterday, I'm just going to go and do a few sets of like machine stuff just to kind of keep some movement of my body, because I'm a hybrid athlete. I'm not pure endurance athlete, so I don't want to sort of lose any. I know I wouldn't lose that much size over this period of time, but I haven't trained up my body in a few days, so I want to go and just do a few sets. I think psychologically more than anything that will help. Because I feel like I'm just shrinking at the moment, and if anyone who is a lifter or has experienced that will know how psychologically much of a struggle that is. So yeah, I'm going to try and get in the gym tomorrow and just do a few you know, a few A's and B's, a few supersets, some push, some pull, literally sort of 15-20 minutes, and then get out of there. But for now, I'm going to go,
folks. So here we are.
9 minutes to get myself ready. So yeah, that was a long one. Wasn't expecting that to be that long.
I apologise. To be honest, I think this is the first. I thought I'd try and capture this because it's the first time I've actually felt like emotional in any way, shape or form. And outwardly it might seem like a silly thing. But first I'll update you on the night. So went out at 10, felt good, legs were tired. But about 4 and a bit K in, I just started to bonk, like glycogen levels, I felt they were low, felt my blood sugar drop. So I just kind of slowed right down and went back into zombie mode. As soon as I got in, I absolutely ruined, I think it was like 6 or 7 rounds of bread with like a bolognese thing, making bolognese sandwiches, carbs on carbs on carbs. Immediately felt better and was getting my carb drink on board, which is what I'm doing now. Can't neglect these things. So then 6 a.m. run is always horrific. It's the worst. Well, I say always, it's twice I've done it now. The first day it was the worst as well. I think that last night I kind of, so I slept for an hour before the 10 p.m. run and then a couple of hours between each of the next runs. So I had about 5 hours sleep before 6 a.m. After that, as soon as I got on that run, I was just in a zombie mode. I was just kind of one foot in front of the other, moving super slowly. But to be honest, I kind of don't really remember much about it. I think I was just so zoned out and so tired. I think I remember running with my eyes closed at one point just for little bits, just to rest my eyes. But then got back from that, got a decent bit of food in me, and then got a good couple of hours of sleep before I went out for the 10 a.m. run. Woke up this morning, like, legs feel a bit tired, and like obviously there's an accumulation of fatigue there, but they felt pretty fresh. Got up, ran out, and here comes the frustrating part. So got up, went out, started running, looked at my pace on my watch, GPS was connected, everything was fine. Did a similar route to what I did yesterday with my cousin. Cousin's a new runner, so he was pretty slow pace. I think we got around in about 50 minutes. But that was basically like a very slow jog, run, walk type thing. So I went out today, checked my pace on the first K, and it's difficult to gauge your pace when your legs are fatigued, but I know what slow is. So on the zombie run, I was averaging about 7-minute kilometers, and that was like a sort of run, walk kind of hazy, weird thing, which is super slow. That's like my proper, at the end of an ultra, absolutely screwed, going delirious pace, basically. So this morning goes out for the 10 a.m. run, feeling good, legs feel fine, start checking my pace and watch, and I'm thinking I'm running like 6:20, 6:30 pace, maybe 6:40 at a push. So check it for the first K and it's fine, and then all of a sudden, like my GPS just drops, it just pauses my watch for ages, and I couldn't get it to unpause. I've never done that before. Started doing it at the start of runs, and I don't know if that's like a safety feature so people don't know where you are for the first 10 meters or so, or some weird thing like that. I know Strava's got like a hide your home function. Anyway, different thing. God, this light's too amazing. So basically, looked at my watch for the first K and it said I was like 6:18, 6:20 pace, thought fine. And all of a sudden it started just pausing itself and missing massive gaps in data. Like I said before, it was the same run that I did yesterday with my cousin, but this loop I actually took a little bit longer because I wanted to finish a little bit shorter because we had to run past my house. So I wanted to finish a little bit shorter today. So it took a longer route. Flying along, feeling comfortable. And at every kilometre marker, it's saying I'm running at like 7:05, 7:18, 7:30 pace. And I'm just not. So sometimes what happens with my Garmin, I've noticed, is it'll give you a couple of slow K and then it'll catch up with itself, and all of a sudden, like, you'll have a slightly faster K, or it'll jump the distance ahead, or I don't know what magic it weaves, but stuff like that happens. So eventually it all kind of comes out in the wash. So I start getting towards 5K, and it's saying that my average pace is, why does this light keep doing this? Sorry, folks. Because I keep turning my head. It's saying my average pace is like 7:18, 7:20. And honestly, like, I think I felt tired, I felt zombified, I felt like fatigued and kind of a bit mentally out of it, but quite detached with that. That's the first time when I like genuinely, like, I just had to stop and walk for 5 minutes because I was just so angry. And then I actually then completed the run to where we finished it yesterday, which was then saying I was about 800 meters short of what we were. So either my Garmin yesterday was super off, and like every other run has been like, what's the word? Every other run has been like over, saying I'm overperforming, or this morning's one is just a one-off. But when you're feeling like this tired and you've had a frustrating night where you've been in zombie mode and you finally get some like energy in your legs, And yeah, so I've just come back into a really bad mood about it, because although it basically then extended my time, so I was out to like 50 odd minutes, which might not seem a lot, but when that pace you were running should be about 42, 43, it just makes you feel like that extra effort of trying to do this with like, you know, a certain amount of intensity just kind of is just sort of pointless. You might as well just go, oh well, if the Garmin's going to screw me over, I might as well walk. And I kind of got into that mindset for a little while. But I've just got back now. I've got some bits and pieces to do. So I'm going to go and put some laundry on. I'm going to eat some food. I'm going to get a shower. I'm going to get out of the house for a bit because I feel like I'm going to go a bit stir crazy if I don't. So that is definitely worth the extra walk, an extra couple of 100-metre walk for a coffee this morning. But yeah, so I think the overriding word this morning is very frustrated and actually a little bit angry with the technology, because I think there's things that you can control which are fine. If you bonk because you've not got enough food and you can eat more food. If you're a bit dehydrated, you can slow down and, you know, drink more water. If you're fatigued and tired and you need more sleep, you can nap more during the day. You know, all of those things are in your control. But when technology fails you, it gets really annoying. And it shouldn't, because it's one of the things that's out of your control. But then you get this sort of like social media judgment when people see the paces. Or if I was to just finish the run where it said I was on like 5.4k, like almost a k short, is where I would have estimated I would have been at the time I'd been running for relative to what I'd done previously to have completed the run. You could just go, well, I've definitely done that distance, but then you don't know, and then you start to get in these little internal wrestling matches about, are you going to be judged on social media? Does it look like you've quit short? Does it look like you've just kind of just decided not to do the last K and now you're trying to find excuses? So all that stuff when you're trying to run is, people use that as like negative fuel, and it might work. But for me, it just kind of took the life out of me a little bit. Anyway, right,
what up, people?
To get a shower and
how are we doing?
So, hope you guys are having a better
I am
start
just
today,
at 5.6k into
run
run number, whatever. Goggins plus 2, I'm going to call it. So that's 48.52. I'm about to finish 56. I think I found the secret of this. The secret is 90s and early 2000s hip hop. Weirdly, had the same experience as last run this time, when a little bit hypo, blood sugar dropped, but I caught it a lot earlier this time. I didn't just plough through and acknowledge this. I had a couple of K to go, so I backed off, feeling good, managed to stabilise a little bit, hence why this isn't completely delirious. However, I've just hit my first bit. I've just come out of it now, I wanted to make the most of it. I've just hit my first bit of runner's high of the whole thing. Just felt that kind of like feeling of floating along, detachment, like I could really push the pace. So I did for a little bit, not very long, but it was there. And honestly, I just felt like felt like Thanos, like I could just crush the world with my hands. Very surreal experience, almost kind of ethereal and emotional. Like you can tell I've got a smile on my face. I think it's already the first time in this. I've had like good runs, but I had like a truly kind of borderline spiritual experience of feeling really good. Obviously, people think, or it's suggested, that the runner's high is associated with kind of endorphin release. I'm just trying to get this camera angle reasonable. There's some research to show that it might actually be mediated by CBD receptors, cannabidiol receptors. Hence the highness feeling is very different experience to what I normally get running. I very rarely get it. I've had it once or twice in my running life. Once was running with a husky somewhere on top of some hill in Yorkshire, driving rain in my face, and then just remember having this feeling of like complete oneness with the trail, with my body, with this like big strong wolf looking animal in my hands, just like dragging me along through the wilderness, just feeling I don't know, very kind of like primeval. It's those little memories and moments that make the shit moments running kind of like totally worth it. So I'm just hitting 6k now, so I'm going to disappear off and stroll this last 400 metres. So yeah, feeling good, dare I say it, the best I've actually felt at this time going into tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
So here I am.
Boop. Not bad for nearly a
probably
marathon a day for the last couple of days.
I have
see
quit,
that,
if that's the word, the challenge. I've stopped the challenge. I don't really view this as quitting. I stopped in the middle of the night. The reason being, or reasons being, that, to be honest, after the last run and feeling so good, I sort of felt fine this morning when I woke up, but I just had like kind of a weird sense of anxiety, not about the challenge, because I kind of had this thing of like, I feel like nothing's really changed over the last day or so. I sort of felt fairly level, so I had this anxiety around about, God, like when might this end? And then part of the issue with this has been, or the negative aspect of this has been, is that it has affected my work capacity. And at the end of the day, you know, my business is the performance strategist. It's what I do. I'm not a performance athlete. I'm not an athlete influencer. I'm not someone who has, you know, a big social media following driven off these kind of challenges and a really high quality YouTube channel. And maybe that will change in the future, who knows? But it's not a defining characteristic of who I am and how I operate. And the reality is that I had this kind of slight anxiety response because I've just got too much work to do around my clients. And then combine that with the fact that like my Achilles were getting a little bit sore and my knee was starting to get a little bit irritable. I've got a bit of an ITB issue that I've had. That comes and goes, and you start to get into this, you know, I call them 5%ers. They weren't the main reasons why I stopped. Like, I could have ploughed through them if I wanted to suffer, but I didn't want to suffer through this. I wanted to just get it done and see what happened. And yeah, a little bit of suffering, which is, you know, the sleep deprivation, all that stuff is always going to get you. It's not like suffering through stress fractures and things like that I've done before. And at the end of the day, it was something I did on a week or so whim of notice. It's not something I'd actually intended to plan to do at this point. It's just I had a free weekend, so I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. I've got another race in 7 weeks, which is 100k, and 7 weeks might seem a long time, but it's not if you pick up a silly injury or do something silly in the middle of the night. And I just kind of thought, you know what, at this point discretion's the better of valor. I've got bigger goals to set this year, to hit this year. One of them is the 100k race, and then the other, which I don't know if I'm going to make a formal announcement at this point, like it matters, like I say, I'm not an athlete or anyone really cares, is that there's one of the reasons I wanted to do this event, this challenge, was to just work on the sort of sleep deprivation element, because there's options for different days. There's a 2 or a 3 day event in September, which is basically kind of, you know, go as far as you can in that period of time. And I just wanted to have a play with the experience of just sort of moving and training and having runs through that and working on sleep habits and sleep patterns and stuff. So I feel like I've got enough of that out of this event to carry forwards, and that's in September. So yeah, I've learned a lot, and I've probably learned enough. So yeah, I just decided that I've got work to do. I've got clients that pay me good money to work with me, and they pay me good money to work with me, not to watch me run around in the middle of the night, going through periods of kind of misery and deliriousness. So it does matter to me, and I'm a bit frustrated and disappointed that I've called it when I have, but also like it's like a tiny bit. I couldn't really care less. At this point, it's not like I've not completed the challenge, and it's not like I didn't do a little bit extra. If I'd have had no work, no clients, nothing to do, and this was like something I'd like pinned my training on for the full year, then I'd probably still be out there suffering through it. But it was none of those things. So yeah, in terms of, you know, what's the expression? The difference between reasons and excuses are your values. And to be honest, as much as I value the ability to suffer, and as much as I value doing this event and what it's given me, it's not those things weren't big enough things to value in terms of the stuff that I do value, which is, you know, being good at my job and providing the service level to my clients that they expect. So yeah, I'm going to say that those are the reasons to stop were greater than the reasons to continue. So thanks for watching. Thought I'd sign off with something a little bit more philosophical and pondering, rather than just the abrupt way that the last clip ended. So yeah, since the challenge, I've reflected on it a little bit, and feeling good about it. Mistakes that I made was the time of day that I started. If I'd have started earlier on the first day, I think I'd have definitely got through that. The third night would have been the second night, so that wouldn't have been an issue. And yeah, apart from that, I think, you know, just having a bit more time in order to not feel the work pressure and the work stress. So yeah, for anyone doing it, I'd say it's definitely a task that's worth doing. Just in terms of organisation, time on feet, good way of building a lot of volume. I found a lot of good carryover actually in terms of my performance with running. The weeks after, I felt like I could handle a lot more volume, so a bit of a volume bomb there, we might call it. Apart from that, I guess the difficulty really is what I've reflected on. It's very different to run an ultramarathon. It's not, I don't think it's as hard as running a straight, say, 50 miler or whatever it might be, in terms of the physical and mental demands, in terms of like the overall carrying of fatigue, and that showed in my average paces. But it is definitely harder in terms of like the sleep deprivation. However, that is definitely something which, if you're going to do multi-stage ultras, loop races like I've got planned, it was definitely a thing to focus on. So I think that's pretty much my reflections on it really. Got through it. Wish I'd sorted my times out a bit better for starting. I would have got through at least 72 hours. And yeah, just give myself a bit more time. But cool. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please give this video a like and a subscribe if it's been useful to you, and watch out for my future crazy events where hopefully I can talk you through the process of what I go through, how I prepare for those things. Yeah, for now, I'm off to go climbing. Take it easy.